Right, we have two more speakers to go, and Marion Hohnen, I have to read yours word for word because it is so good. Marion's passion and fascination with service across multiple industries stems from her experience of travelling around the world launching Qantas lounges, taking on the role as Director of Guest Experience for Accor Hotels, to running boutique hotels in Sydney, and even working for one of the big four banks. She has seen the best and the worst of it. To deal with the soul-crushing worst of bad service in Sydney, Marion enjoys any very large bottle of any Shiraz from the Barossa Valley and going out on her dirt bikes with her fiancé. From building strong customer experience strategies to trying to impart good old-fashioned service, she can't get enough of it. Her topic today, creating exceptional experiences and global consumer trends. Welcome, Marion.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Luke texted me a few months back and said, hey, you want to be part of a channel of speakers? I was like, yeah, cool. And then about a week later, I saw a week ago, I saw on social media, 250 people sold out. I was like, yeah, right. So it's 250 people. Hello, great. Thanks for the detail. So I want to talk about a topic that is just everything I live and breathe for, which kills my fiance because I'm forever filling out surveys or giving people my opinion on their service. But I am amazed at how well businesses do this and how terrible it is. I'm forever amazed. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about some trends that are happening globally in the customer experience space. And just, it's really great to hear the panel talk a bit about culture, a top-down approach, which I'll touch on as well. So 100% of customers are people, 100% of employees are people. If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. This has continued to serve me in all my roles, and I see businesses do this really well and succeed, or they don't and they do not succeed in business. There's no lie about it. When I was had the privilege of being a Director of Guest Experience for Accor Hotels, I was privy to the financial information of every individual hotel. There was always a direct link between a hotel financially doing well and how well they were living this, 100% of the time. And I really was blown away. I'll never forget when Simon McGrath said to me, I need you to, I told him what had happened with this hotel. It was not performing. And I said to him, I need to go there and I need to change things. And he said, just be ready when you do. They will hate you first and they'll get really angry and then they'll change. And he was 100% right. I went up north and I spoke to a general manager and I put together a huge plan of how they would change. 24 hours later, he did call me furious that I'd given him such feedback. Sure enough, in 2 months' time, they had drastically increased their scores, which had a direct impact on the bottom line. So I'm digressing badly. This is, as I said, a passion. I could talk about it all day, which is not good for any of you. So engaged people equals happy guests. We know it's about people. We know it's actually moving from it's actually being people-centric. But what are we actually doing? Are we putting profit first? Are we putting operations first? Are we putting processes first? Or are we actually living and breathing it? How are we actually showing it to people is how we're showing it in our business is the real question. When do businesses need a guest journey map? I've been consulting for the last 6-7 months, which has been financially a terrible time. No, I'm joking. It's been all right. But I am amazed at how much people aren't thinking about the entire customer journey when it starts. When is their first experience with the brand and when is the last? And what's important? So I think a company that I see that is doing things on purpose definitely has a really clear customer journey map. And I think businesses, and I don't want to talk about Telstra because I'll get really mad and it's going to get really bad. But they need a customer journey map. The steps along their process are absolutely disgusting. Don't get me started. So next thing, so what you really want to do with your customer journey is you want to set up, what's your initial contact? So when is the first experience with the brand that your customer is having? It's really important to see when that is. If that is a negative experience, that is a negative experience with your brand that your customer is having in its first initial stages. Number two, through the process, what's through to the process of engagement? So if they are having a brand experience and then they're having another touch point, what is that? How important is it and how tailored is it? And then thirdly, into a long-term relationship. So how can we ensure that no other competitors is driving a wedge between your business and your customers? Really thinking about what's the longevity piece of your customer experience. Why would you need one? Why would you need a customer journey map? It frames the way of working. So if your customer's not at the forefront of what you're actually doing, what is the point? You've got to start thinking about how we're actually supporting or underpinning your operations as to your way of working with the customer in mind. And then secondly, the framework to prioritise. So how are we setting our business up to success with clear framework to prioritise those things? And then thirdly, guest-led decision-making, and then optimize the guest experience as a competitive edge. So again, understanding your customer at every single step of the way. We can't talk about guest experience without talking about customer analytics and data. I know it can sound a little bit boring, but the best customer experience predicts needs. You need to have just a deep level of understanding of intelligence. We can see that companies that make extensive use of customer analytics actually show 126% profit improvement over companies that don't. So again, back to customer first is essentially your business first. We need to make your organisation as connected as your customer experience. So data has definitely changed the way that our businesses are engaging with our customers. It's actually a real privilege that customers are letting us into their lives so much and enabling us to tailor a service for them. The question is, are we listening and are we acting? Number one, personalisation. People want to know, they want to know who you are, and they want to use this information to create peak moments. So understanding when a peak might present itself as an opportunity and what are you doing in those moments. And then the omni-channel, follow the thread. There's a real expectation that I shouldn't have to give out my personal information 2-3 times. For example, we've all got smartphones. I feel like I'm saying older than smartphones. I could say smartphones, right? Yeah. Cool. So if one of my apps updates and it has a better, more seamless experience, for me, my instant expectation for the app sitting right next to it changes. So this is really important to keep a hold of what's happening in this space, especially with the omni-channels. So that's actually, I feel like companies are acting pretty quick in this space to make sure that they're getting the technology to set this up for success. High touch versus low touch. When do guests actually want technology and when do they actually want a human being? This is really important. And again, this is around the guest expectation. So making sure we're understanding that and when we're implementing it in the business. And then focus on employee engagement to drive guest engagement. This is the number one. And back to my example around, this is going to be all about Accor hotels because I currently live and breathe them. But that really is an impact. Definitely customer first is the way to go. I want to talk a little bit about global consumer trends and some insights that we're seeing for, I've gone ahead. Back one. Meaningful personalization is the imperative experience. So we need to know our customers. And again, I was talking to you a bit about competitors driving a wedge between your business and your customers. Anticipating a need, especially in the digital analytic space, is really important. For example, just a small example, I worked for a bank for some time. It doesn't hurt. It's fine. It was a tough time in my life. Well, I decided I didn't want to work for a bank when my boss pulled me in and said I need to stop nicknaming my staff. And I thought, I cannot be here. My soul is dying. And it wasn't inappropriate. It was just like short little nicknames, not allowed to do that in a bank. Yeah, that's the end of that story. So, for example, is Barclays in the UK, one of the major banks. They actually tailor pre-approved loans to their customers. So before they even come to them with a loan, if they're already engaged with the business, they're tailoring a service and pushing it out. It's a really simple, smart way to keep your customers engaged and your competitors out whilst tailoring a personalised experience, which we know is definitely an expectation in our current market. Okay, just there's 10, so I'm running out of time, so I will go through these really quickly. The age agnostic. So older people want to feel, behave, and be treated younger. I think it's a bit of a myth that it's all about the millennials at the moment and appealing to them with their buying power. It's certainly not. There's definitely this expectation going on with age agnostic. People want to get back to basics and all about... I think because it's largely because they have so much thrown at them, but we now favour products that are more simplified and higher quality. So we're seeing, you might notice in the Woolworths ad, this is how they've responded to this change. Most of their ads now are just talking about their fresh produce that is in season. So people no longer want manufactured or mass-produced products. They want what's in season, what's fresh, what has high quality, and what's been simplified. We're also seeing real conscious consumers. So we're really mindful in our buying. We really seek, this particular group of people really seek positive decisions and look for positive solutions to their product. And they have a real negative impact, a real negative, I suppose, feeling towards global consumeration. Digitally together. So proximity is no longer a boundary. We're definitely seeing a growing comfort in people with just sharing in general, which is great for business, and we spoke a little bit about that before. But we do know that 45% of people now share photos or videos weekly, and that was 38% in 2015. So we're seeing a real increase in this space still. The customer is always right has never been more true. That's something I was told when I was 17, working in a bar in a hotel, probably the best time of my life. And do you guys want to know what the top search in Google for 2018 was? Is the word best. So everyone's really an expert at the moment, and they're very empowered. The more empowered we are as customers, the more entitled we feel. Finding my JOMO. My name is Marion, and I suffer from this problem pretty bad. I want everything yesterday. This group of people, and massive trend we're seeing now, want to be more intentional with their time. So this is not going anywhere, I think, the good old JOMOs. We're also seeing consumers now crave really self-sufficient simplicity. So it has to become less. It's become less acceptable, for example, to not be informed about food allergies or the types of foods out there. So it's a real, again, that back to empowerment. We are seeing that we're very comfortable with paying for eco-friendly products, and it's set to be even bigger for 2020. And we're also seeing, I want it now. This is another disease I suffer from pretty bad. This is largely driven actually by 30 to 45-year-olds. They're definitely more happy to spend more money on products that they can have now. So, and that essentially saved them time because they're so time poor. And lastly, we're seeing a big shift in loner living, so living the single life. You would have seen some businesses work towards healthy co-living spaces because of this. It's actually a really sad fact. I do like a fun fact. This isn't one of them. The divorce rate for 50-year-olds nearly doubled in between 1990 and 2015. So this group of people is 50 plus years old, and they're very sensible and proud. So that's definitely a trend that we're seeing in at the moment. I think just some summaries from the trends that we're seeing in the customer experience space is our customers just want to take back control. They're really assertive for themselves, and we want to get that thing or service with the complete ease and transparency. That's me. Thank you very much.